Hey, Sora 2 came out September 30th, and I actually had no idea. I remember when it happened, though. I think I was in the bathroom or coming out of the bathroom. I saw OpenAI released a video on my YouTube feed, and so I was like, oh, it's a new video generation model. I was like, oh, dang, that's interesting. Because usually when stuff like this happened, right, I would have had, like, I've heard rumors here and there. It just didn't seem like a big release at the time. I was really excited when it came out. I was going to try and access it, but I didn't have it was a selected release, like, not everyone has access to it. But anyways, Sora 2 came out, and then some other AI advancements happened here and there. I think one thing I've noticed, especially today, as I was trying to figure out what to talk about like in AI, was I going to talk about AI bubbles or Sora 2 and all of that. But I think one thing I've noticed is that I kind of, for lack of better words or terms, I kind of fallen off with like keeping track of like every latest AI advancement. I think like a couple months ago, 5 months ago, I was very much in the loop about everything else happening. So if something happened with like video or there was maybe a research paper that I thought was really interesting, I was very much in the loop with that. But then I think near the end of the summer, especially during GPT-5's release, I think I realized like, okay, I'm kind of falling off this whole train of keep up with every latest release. I think the reason as to why, I think it was actually intentional in my opinion. The reason as to why I was doing this, or the reason I'm still doing this, I think, was I noticed that even though I would like be aware, like, oh, let's say Google has a new product release, like it's some like learning tool that's coming out soon. Even though I was aware of such things, once it did come out, nothing really would change in my experience. Like I could go say, like, oh, I knew this was gonna happen like 5 weeks ago or something like that, but that doesn't really do anything for me as a person or as a learner, or as a teacher, as a student or research and all of that. I think where I realized more was that like it's cool to know about all these AI tools you can use and all of that, but then that's not what I'm satisfied with personally. I want to know more about the fundamentals. I think that was something I was really lacking. I was like near end of August. I said, okay, I want to make sure I actually have more understanding of fundamentals rather than just focus on every new release. And that's something I'm still working on. I think this new thing I'm doing with Big Think AI, where I lead the workshops on different AI fundamentals and all that, has been really helpful because it does now force me to go practice and all of that. But yeah, I definitely much prefer it. Sometimes it does feel weird. It's like, oh dang, now I'm falling off or something like that. It's like, dang, I really didn't know that was gonna come out. Usually I do. Um, but I do think I think in the long term will probably be more beneficial because it's like these are always gonna happen. Like there's always gonna be a new product release and all of that. But like I'm much better served. I'm much better served actually having the skills that I can build my own tools rather than just like seeing what's the latest thing on the market. I do think I do think it's fine. I do think there's also some level of balance, not where it's like 50-50. But I also do think like since I'm someone who's interested in this field, since I am in this field actually, it's a part of my responsibility to make sure I know what's going on in the field. I don't have to know everything to a T. I don't have to know every schematics of every new tool. But just having a general idea of what's going on is really important. I remember with my interview for the internship I had this summer, that was like the final closing question about like some risk of AI and blah blah blah. And I think that was something I did not prepare for at all. Like I practiced a bunch of questions and all of that for behavioral for the behavioral interview, but like that was one question I did not practice. And I think the only reason, or one of the only reasons I was able to answer it, was because I was just in the loop with stuff what was going on. So when it came to risk, I could use the proper terms. I looked at risk management frameworks, had a good idea of what was going on, like the proper stuff people are looking for when it came to building on full AI infrastructure and all of that. So I do think there's a certain level of being aware of your surroundings, I guess, when it comes to this field. But I also think more importantly, right now for me, my focus just has to be on building those fundamentals, building those skills, rather than just being someone who can just like say, oh, this is gonna happen. And I think a big part of that, a big reason I did that actually, was that I was realizing like I could definitely talk about these tools, right? I could talk about them all day. I could watch YouTube videos about them. I could go talk to other people. But then in my heart of hearts, I felt very non-technical, which is weird because I was like, okay, I know what's going on with VO3 and all that. But then I was like, so what? It's like, what do I like? What does that do for me? I just don't feel like that's always something I've been very careful with, is that I always try to make sure I don't steer too non-technically, because I think I think usually when it comes to groups and stuff, it's easier to fall into the the non-technical route stuff. Like technical stuff, it really requires a lot of math, it requires a lot of practice, it requires a lot of discipline. Not that non-technical stuff don't, but like it's easier for me at least, right? Like if I'm not focusing or if I'm not being intentional, like if I find myself in a group of people, I can find myself in a non-technical role, right? And if I keep on doing that, eventually in 5-10 years, I just don't have the technical skills that I really wanted to go do interesting things. Because I don't want to just be someone who can just talk about stuff. I want to be someone who can build stuff, right? I think that's a big reason as to why I did that whole shift between just like keeping track of every new product versus actually like learning fundamentals. Cause I think it actually allows you to, it enables you to understand more, especially I was looking at Walton to research papers, I think early August or early June actually. And I think a big thing I really wanted more of was just to understand what's going on. I had a good grasp. I also had tools that could help explain it to me, like ChatGPT or Notebook LM. But like I really wanted more understanding of what's going on. Cause I think it allows have like now if I was to go read a paper that involved neural networks, I'll have a better idea of what's going on because that's something I just taught and it can explain to someone. I think that's just much more, it makes the experience much more enjoyable, right? Like once you can like stay immersed within the research and the work that's going on versus like for every step they're making, you're already like 10 steps behind. So you're still trying to catch up to like the baseline and all that. But yeah, that's exciting. I'll probably talk about Sora 2 and like AI bubbles later because I have some thoughts about that. I think it's really interesting. But for now, back to the fundamental, sticking there and just learning more. Besides that though, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.